Hi, I'm Rick.
Hi, I'm Ramon.
Welcome back to part 3 of our trilogy on Azure Digital Twins. So we've done modeling, we've done onboarding in the Azure Digital Twins environment and querying.
Yeah.
What's up for now?
So today we're going to discuss 3 topics. First being ingestion, so actual data ingestion from IoT devices. We're going to look at eventing, so output, and last but not least, a little bit of an integration, to show you a quick example.
Okay, cool. So take it away.
Yeah, thank you. So first off, ingestion. So for that, I've set up a quick, simple demo. I've created IoT that IoT has a device connected, and it's currently, there is a device simulator attached to that, which is sending me random data. And I have a function built after that and link that with the event grid. So you can just go into IoT, click eventing, and just link a function to it.
Yep.
That's what I've used for now. It's easy to set up for demo purposes. And then I've used that function to ingest it into the twin. So that's it. So I'm just going to quickly show you how that would look like a little bit.
Okay.
So to quickly show you already, the simulator is running in the background. It's
nice.
Randomly generating temperature. It's a space where the temperature fluctuates quite a lot. But nevertheless, it's quite a nice example to show you here. So after that, I set the event grid up. I can quickly show you that in the portal. Where we have it ready. So what I've did is, like I mentioned, I've created a simple device. So this is the device that I have, which for the easiness of the demo currently has the same name as a twin.
Mm-hmm.
So that I can match it. Of course, this can be done with a lot of ways. You can also have a property on your twin, which is the same as the device ID or vice versa.
Okay.
Then, like I mentioned, I set up eventing. And in this case, I set up a subscription with eventing just for the telemetry messages coming in.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, you can also use the same mechanism for creation of devices, deletion of devices. So when you add something to your IoT that you automatically also create an instance into to your digital twin, or for example, or vice versa.
Yeah.
So that's what I've set up. Then, if I look at the code itself, it's rather simple. So I've extended the function that I've shown in the introduction a little bit with an extra function which I call IoT telemetry.
Okay.
And in this case, as you can see, I've implemented a default event grid trigger. I left the default stuff in for clarity. And after that, I just deserialize it and I take out the device ID because that's the twin ID that I'm using.
Yep.
Grab out the temperature and send a message in.
And that's it.
That's it.
In short, that's it.
That's it.
Nice.
So that was a minute or two. And now you have IoT integration theoretically. Right, of course, if you build this on scale, you might have to make some other adjustments.
Yeah, and then you might wanna you might have some extra logic that's there. But in the end, this is what it boils down to, right? You get the info, you take out what you need, and you just push it in, and you're done.
Exactly. So in this case, like I mentioned already in the introduction, we just use a publish telemetry to publish it into the twin.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to use properties here, you can also do now write the JSON patch to update a certain property.
But then the publish telemetry and then the client you're using for that, that's actually from the SDK from the NuGet package that you get in.
That's the same SDK as we used to onboard the building in last episodes. And now it's working.
Nice.
So that's that. To just quickly show you that it's working. If we go to our Explorer and I go back to a way simpler query by just refreshing the screen, you will see that all the twins temperatures are not updating anymore because I've turned down the generation that I did before.
Okay.
And there will only be one, which is actually still generating stuff. So you can see, once again, this is a temperature of 23.78 degrees. But if we look at it, it's from the 9th of December. And if we look at this one, should be the one that we are dealing with currently. It's from the 10th of December. So this one is still running. And now we have proved that it works.
That's actually pretty nice. And then is there maybe also a possibility where you have the option to look at historical data, or is that something that you would do typically in IoT Hub or somewhere else?
Historical data in the twin itself is not available yet, but who knows, might come. But of course, currently, the best way to have historical data is to use a specific service for that.
Yeah.
And I'll show you a quick example at the end of an integration which might help you in that sense.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You've got a small cliffhanger there.
But before we continue on that, I want to show you eventing as output.
Yeah.
So what we already saw in the beginning is that when you have a twin, we can also send events out. To quickly show you that in the live environment, if I go to the twin instance in the Azure portal, I've defined the endpoint, which in this case is event up, and currently it's only for telemetry, and I've defined event routes. But there are different notifications that you can listen to. So let's dive into that and see what you can actually listen to. So first off, there are basically 4 main types, and within those main types you might still have a few different messages, but which are digital twin lifecycles, digital twin changes, relationship changes, and telemetry messages.
Okay.
So if you go into them, I've put a quick JSON on the screen. It's rather big.
Yeah, but it helps in getting a feel of what actually is in this type of event.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have to mention, for this one I've included all the metadata, so you know what is completely in there. In the next ones that I will show you, I've left that out, because otherwise it's hard to read. But what you can see in here is that it contains the type that we're listening to, the source, or in this case our twin, the subject, which is our twin ID. So we have now a way of finding back our twin. So even if you would have multiple twin instances going to the same event up, you still would know where your actual twin is located, because you have the location in here as well. And in this case, we're looking at a message for a create. This create is rather simple. It doesn't have any properties, but it's just, as you can see in the data, the full object that was just created.
Yeah.
So that's pretty nice. You get the full object. And this is the same for creation and deletion of a twin. Then if we move forward, we have change notifications.
Yep.
And those change notifications are quite different in that sense, because as we discussed before, you do a patch to update the twin.
Yeah, and here I also see the operation that you actually did. So
these are the literal patches. Yeah. So because the twin does the patching async, it can take a little bit before it does it, right? Yeah. It's not instant. But at the same time, you can already get the event out. So you could theoretically also patch it yourself, and then you still have the latest version. However, this only contains the patch. So if you want to listen to changes, and you're always going to get the total state out, then you probably have to either query the twin or do this yourself. So that's a pitfall maybe. Yeah,
but I can also imagine this is actually what comes in.
Yeah.
So that the event is this, I understand that one. And I can also say that, or hear what you're saying, like if you want to have all of the information that's connected to this patch and what the end result will be, well then you need the original or the end result, you need to query that yourself.
Exactly.
But I can totally see this one, because also this will help you react on specifically what was patched, what was changed.
Yeah. And this actually, like, it boils down a little bit also to the efficiency of the twin. Yeah. So if you just get this in because this is the only thing has changed, and you need that one extra property, you just get that one property out, and that's it. So it also gives you the flexibility to just get what you need. Yeah. No extra costs or anything in that regard.
Okay.
So now we've created, deleted the twin, and we can change it, or we can listen to that. We can basically do those same things for a relationship, but they all fall in the same group. But in this case, we once again have a create, update, and delete. Mm-hmm. And in this case, for the update, it's a patch again. And for the create and delete, it's the complete object again.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's very similar, like the other one. And then, of course, the last one,
probably the most interesting one,
the telemetry one. It's literally what you define and what you send in. In this case, this is what I send in my demo, which is just the property temperature. But theoretically, if you would send a complete message into your telemetry on your twin, you would get the complete message out. So it's that. Of course, with the wrapper around that, like what we've seen in the first one. So you do have the twin, the twin instance, and that kind of sense.
So having a small change back to what we just saw, all of the other events are more like the infrastructure around your twin and the device is connected. This is actually the values that the device is measuring, probably, because it's telemetry.
Yeah.
So if you want to have anything that responds to if temperature gets too high or humidity gets too low, that's what you want to do with telemetry changes, right?
Theoretically, yes. Of course, there's a little bit of nuance here. It really depends if you use the telemetry changes.
So it depends again.
Yeah, it depends
Again,
Yeah,
depends.
it's
Everything depends.
it depends. So in this case, where we actually use the telemetry to get the telemetry out, then yes, definitely that would be the case. But there might also be solutions out there which are just updating a twin as soon as something comes in via the IT hub.
Okay.
Then you have to listen, of course, to the update of your twin.
I understand what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. But that's basically output eventing.
Yeah.
For now, I just explained it real quick. Setting this up, of course, I think implementing a contract, everybody, or you should definitely be able to do that. So now it's time for some more.
And if you can't, go back to episodes 1 and 2, have a look, and in the end, you'll be up and running in no time.
Perfect. Perfect. Right, but what is cool is out of the box there are some integrations already from the digital twin into other products. And there might be many more to come.
I recognize the lowest, I recognize all of them, but the lowest icon, I think that's the Custo or KQL, right?
ADX, Azure Data Explorer.
Okay. Because it also looks like the Custo icon.
I'm not 100% sure what the Custo icon is, but ADX
Okay,
uses Custo, so it will perfectly make sense. Yeah, definitely.
So you can use Custo to query your data.
Exactly. So what I've done in this case is I set up this setup, what we see here, which is an IT hub that is outputting data to the event grid, a function, and then into digital twin. That's what we saw before.
Yep.
And I've set up output from the IT hub into the ADX.
Okay.
So that means our ADX is storing every message that is coming in via the IT hub. The reason why I set it up like this is simply because of the thing that I want to demo. But in theory, it might also be that you can put the ADX behind the digital twin, put a function in between, and do it there.
Yeah.
So that really depends on what your setup is. So to dive into that, we go back to the Azure portal, where I've prepared this massive view. As you can see, I've put some queries up there just to explain to you what I've done. So I've just quickly created a table where I store temperature and the device ID. That's mainly important. I've described a JSON mapping because I'm using the ADX data ingestion. They have support on database level to automatically ingest data from certain sources. ITUP is one of them.
That's nice.
And I've just mapped a few properties. One of those is the device ID and one of those is the temperature that I'm getting in.
Okay.
I'm just dumping that in a table. And as you can see, there is a specific Azure Digital Twins query request. So this is actually kind of cool. But in this case, I'm using an extension which is available just out of the box. If you have ADX, you can use it.
Okay.
I've defined the instance which I want to talk against. In this case, my demo instance. And I've defined a query. So if I would execute this exact query, it will show me the results out of the digital twin immediately.
Okay, that's cool.
Definitely. So this gives me the flexibility to combine the historical data that I got in with the actual state in the ADT to provide me actual information and then to return that in a total view. So if I would combine it in a little bit more complex Custo query.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Well, in its sense, it's rather simple. What I'm doing is I want to determine the highest temperature that I've measured for a certain contract or for a certain serial number.
Okay.
So let's imagine we have a case where certain serial numbers might be broken. Then I want to figure out what is the case.
Yeah.
Then you could execute this query. So what I'm doing is I'm asking the twin to provide me a list of the temperature sensors and provide me the ID and the serial number and the type, just for clarity. And I want to match that with the historical data and find the max temperature. That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
So if I execute this, I currently get only one result out.
Again, the fact that you're joining all of this information and how fast this response is.
Yes. I do have to mention that the demo set is rather small in terms of size.
Anyhow, see how fast this is.
Yes. It's poof and it's there.
Yep. It's impressive.
Yeah, definitely. But we've now achieved what we wanted to know in one quick view. I now know that a certain sensor with serial number X has that temperature or reached that temperature over the last period that I'm looking at.
Yeah.
And currently I'm looking at all the data that I have, but you can of course add more where classes, date ranges,
Yeah, of
everything,
course,
right? You can go wild, it's Gusto.
Nice.
But it's just one of the examples that you can use to integrate with the ADX. But all the use cases that you also might have is, for example, use the output from your twin as the input for your Azure Maps. If you use Azure Maps Creator, for example, you have those nice views. You can use that data to, for example, render your Azure Maps, click on something and show actually the temperatures or anything in your building in real time.
And what's funny is I read this week that Azure Maps now supports historical weather data. So you could match the historical weather data with what's happening inside of your building and to see how your building responds to changes outside of the building. I mean,
you can combine everything.
We can go querying the entire weekend and still have fun.
Definitely. But yeah, this is just one quick example of how you can store historical data, right? You can also use other big data storages. Maybe you can use time series insights. Maybe you can use a data lake to store your data.
Yeah.
But because of the eventing, which you can basically put anything behind, the possibilities are almost unlimited.
That's nice.
Definitely.
Well, it actually looks pretty powerful, and it's fast, but also I think it's very valuable that it builds on knowledge we already have working with Azure, right? I mean, Gusto is a known query language for people who've been working with Azure for a period of time. So it's nice that you can now use Gusto to also get this type of information out.
Yeah.
Pretty powerful. So thank you so much for this demo, but also for the entire series on everything that we need to know when working with Azure Digital Twins. This is the last part of our trilogy. If you found this video but haven't looked at the other ones yet, please have a look at part 1 and 2, because Ramon here actually explained everything and anything you need to know while working with Azure Digital Twins. So thanks again so much. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.